So, in that one you have Scarecrow, who does not resemble Scarecrow. Scarecrow never just wore a mask, but they did get the patient thing right. He did have the scare toxin. But I think that Scarecrow, they really could have done it a whole lot better with him, especially Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul is a great character too. They kind of used him as a one-noter. So I think it could have been a lot better with Ra's al Ghul. There's a lot of backstory. His daughter ends up marrying Batman. It ends up having Batman's kid. Then you have the Dark Knight. Well, the Dark Knight was another one that was good. You reintroduced the Joker, you reintroduced Two-Face, two of the best versions that we've had. Both of them pretty close to the comics, to a T. I really love the Dark Knight. It's really close to the comics. Then you have the Dark Knight Rises, which is a little, if you compare it to the comics, they're not really the same. You have Bane, who's the leader of the League of Shadows. Doesn't have the pumped up toxin anymore, but he is ruthless. When they took the scene right out of the comics of breaking his back, I think Catwoman didn't need to be there. For reintroducing her, people compared her to Michelle Pfeiffer, and I think the Pfeiffer one was better. And then from that we have the Batman vs. Superman Batman, which is really good, rehashing the origin story. And he was pretty close to the Dark Knight Returns Batman. So the Batman series is really close to the comics in some ways, but in some ways it's not. So now we're going to talk about the Punisher movies. Now, for those who do not know, there's actually 3 Punisher movies. One in the 1980s, one in 2004, and one, I think it was 2010. So, in the original one, which is the closest to the Punisher, because the Punisher is a brooding character that's all by himself. Violent, really violent. But they've toned him down a lot compared to the comics. The Thomas Jane one wasn't really accurate because he just was so close to everybody, all happy-go-lucky. And in all the comics, the Punisher was never like that. He was violent, he was destructive. He did whatever needed to be done to get the villains out. So all the Punisher movies really, whether it's Dolph Lundgren, whether it's Ray Stevenson, whether it's Thomas Jane, none of them are really close to the Frank Castle character. Frank Castle's more along the lines of like Dirty Harry. Very violent. And then there's the Spider-Man movies. And this might take a little bit just because there's a lot of them. But we're gonna compare the Andrew Garfield ones and the Maguire ones. The Andrew Garfield ones don't really have a lot in common with the comics. Lizard was made the same way, but I think neither one of the actors got Spider-Man. Not Toby, not Andrew. They didn't get it because Spider-Man's supposed to be shy and reserved when he's Peter Parker, but when he's in the mask, he's supposed to be shortcomings, like quick-witted. There's certain scenes when you see it, but you don't see it all the way through. The Green Goblin, I think it was rushed in the Andrew Garfield ones, and in the other ones, I don't think they really understood what the Goblin was, and the Goblin is kind of a character that you need to spread out, a villain that periodically shows up. I also think the Venom wasn't done very right, and neither was the setup for the Sinister Six, and the Gwen Stacy death I thought was pretty bad. The Spider-Man movies really don't. As far as it's connected to the comics, I love Spider-Man. couple episodes back, I did a Batman vs. Spider-Man video. So I really think that for them to get Spider-Man right, they should pull more source material for the comics and really push through and make it something special. Because Spider-Man is a unique character, has unique storylines that you could pull from. And now let's talk about the X-Men. Because the X-Men really are really good characters. Now the one thing you could say is, I'm going to start with my complaints on the series as a whole. X-Men characters always, I liked their individual costumes. They all didn't look alike, but when you saw the first X-Men movie, they're all in black leather outfits, kind of uniformal. If you look at the original X-Men movie, the guy playing Cyclops doesn't act like Cyclops. Storm doesn't act like Storm. Jean Grey doesn't act like Jean Grey. Rogue doesn't act like Rogue. Sabretooth doesn't act like Sabretooth. Because Sabretooth knows Wolverine. And they didn't expand on that at all in the X-Men movies like they should have. They turned Cyclops into a little pussy. Jean Grey, they really didn't push through and show like what she's capable of. Wolverine they got right though. I just wish that he would have worn either the brown and yellow or the yellow and blue outfit that he had, because it really defined Wolverine for all of us that grew up in the 90s and watched the show. And that storyline for the first movie, like, it didn't feel like an X-Men story. Like, it was a good, looking back, like at the time, it was amazing. It was before your Fantastic Fours, your Avengers, for your Captain America's, Iron Man's, Thor's, anything. It was one of the first, it was the first superhero team movie ever. And it was good. But it didn't feel like an X-Men movie. You got the X-Men 2, which X-Men 2, they pulled stuff from the Weapon X storyline in the comics. Nightcrawler. But one thing they've never done is they've never said that Nightcrawler, the relationship between Mystique, Nightcrawler, and Rogue. They're her kids. And yet you never hear them reference it. Now, let's talk about the team. Well, there's a lot of missing characters. Now, some people say, well, why did they just go with the original team? Your Beast, your Jean Grey, your Cyclops, your Iceman, and Angel. Well, for one, all of us that grew up in the 90s, that's not the team we knew at all. When they aired the cartoon, they didn't use that team. So yeah, it would have been cool to use that team, but in my opinion, they should have used the core team that we knew in the 90s, where you had Gambit, Rogue, Storm, Jubilee, Gambit, Beast, Morph, who would have been a cool character to have in there, Cyclops, Wolverine, Professor X. And even the Beast that they brought into there wasn't Beast. Beast is an intellectual character, was always a core member of the X-Men. Then you have Angel. When they brought Angel in, he had 3 scenes, I think, in X-Men The Last Stand, and in X-Men Apocalypse, he had a small role too. He wasn't a big part, but Angel would have been cool. Gambit was in Wolverine Origins, which is one of the worst X-Men movies in the series. So you don't have a team, and then they would bring characters in, but they didn't even really call them by their names. Like Lady Deathstrike was in X-Men 2, but you wouldn't know that. I like that whole sequence where they actually show Wolverine be turned into Wolverine. And then X-Men 3 is just, I don't know what that was. Bryan Singer didn't come back. They got Brett Ratner. You have Phoenix being rushed. Cyclops gets killed. Xavier gets killed, but he doesn't get killed. They give Colossus more to do, but not really. You have multiple men. You have a bad version of the Juggernaut. So that one went downhill. And then you have Wolverine Origins, which was crap. Ruined Deadpool, but this year we got a new Deadpool movie. X-Men First Class was really good, and so was Days of Future Past, so was X-Men Apocalypse. But X-Men is pretty close to the comics in certain ways. They take certain things that they need, and then they'll put them in there. But I think that you got to be able to decipher the comics from the movies. And this is a generalization right here, because you have, to quote John Campea, who used to be with AMC Movie Talk, Collider Movie Talk, now does Comic Con HQ. John Schnapp, who does Collider Heroes. You really have to be able, what works on the comic book page doesn't work on the screen. That's why certain aspects are changed. But I think certain things they could add later on. Like, there's been rumors that in the new Wolverine movie, they're bringing in X-23, which is good because Hugh Jackman said he's done playing Wolverine after Wolverine 3. So, some things work in the comics and some things don't. Like, some of the bright costumes don't really work. They look cheesy. If you were to have, take for instance Electro from the Spider-Man series. If you were to, he's blue, light blue with electricity all around him. His original costume is a skin-tight green outfit with lightning bolts all around his head. If you were to do that in the movies, it would look stupid. Scarlet Witch in the new movies has like a long trench coat, like leather pants. In the comics, she has like a pink cape, like a red fishnet, and like a bustier dress with a big crown right here. It will look stupid. That's why there's certain Iron Man costumes they haven't used in the movies. Thor, they kind of changed his look a little bit, so he didn't look as cartoony. Captain America, they picked and choose which costumes. There's certain Spider-Man costumes that wouldn't work good on screen. So you pick and choose your battles. It's really that simple. Like, all in all, some movies follow the comic book formula and some don't. Like, I can remember watching Iron Man 3, and the Mandarin we got is not the real Mandarin. Maybe at some point we'll get the real Mandarin, but they had to do something different. And another thing is they follow, a lot of them go through the Marvel Ultimates. So not classic Marvel, they go through Marvel Ultimates, or DC New 52 is what their template is for the new DC movies. So it's hard to tell like what they're gonna use. Like in an Infinity War, what are they gonna use? What aren't they gonna use? Because there's certain elements, like there's certain characters that they haven't introduced yet. Like your Adam Warlock, like the Inhumans. They don't have Silver Surfer. They don't have the Fantastic Four. So the Infinity Gauntlet is a completely different story. Planet Hulk, the fans say, let's do Planet Hulk, let's do Planet Hulk. Planet Hulk would cost like over $500 million to make, because it would be expensive to be on a planet where everybody's CG battling out. And Hulk movies don't do well at the box office. So you gotta pick and choose what you want to do. And that's literally what they do. Days of Future Past wasn't really Days of Future Past. Winter Soldier storyline wasn't really Winter Soldier. Civil War wasn't really Civil War. You gotta pick and choose what you want to do. Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord was not one of the original members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's all about picking your battles on who you want, what you want to bring. So I know I kind of whizzed through a lot of these, but I really hope you enjoyed this. Comic and film are two completely different mediums, and hey, sometimes it works, sometimes it's for better. I never really liked the Ant-Man character, but I liked the Ant-Man movie. So I was never a big Avengers fan, but I liked the Avengers movie. Maybe one of these days we'll get a really amazing Spider-Man movie. So it's all in what you want to get, what you want to accomplish. I am Chucky. This has been episode 7. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Crazy Hero Rise. On Twitter, you can follow me there. As always, I always post videos here on YouTube on Chucky's Funhouse. So, and because this has been kind of a shorter video, later in the week I'm going to post another video where I'm going to give you some more superhero news, and I'm actually going to start doing retrospective on certain heroes, superheroes that I like. And on episode 8, I am going to divulge into Venom. Venom's going to be the first one I'm going to tackle. So I will talk to you then.